Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews, and halfway through we stop for a segment called Questions Coffee and Cars. We spun it off. We're at 135. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out asking for questions. Once we gather the questions, the post is deleted, and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
I've just purchased a used 2023 Miata, in part thanks to your time with Ruby. Taking delivery on Saturday. Given the time of year, it's unfortunately going straight to the garage. Any winter storage tips? I'm in the Greater Toronto area. Yes, we're feeling that straight to the garage right now with Ruby as well.
Yeah, we're having the car serviced, and then it's going into its slumber for the winter. The good thing is here on the West Coast is that it's going to be out in March. Ontario, not so much. So you want to know what to do with it?
So a couple things. Wash it, obviously, before you store it. Some say fill up the tank with gas so it's full.
Okay, just jump in there.
Yeah.
You want to go to, you're in Canada, eh? You want to go to Canadian Tire, and you want to buy what's called a fuel stabilizer, and you pour that into the fuel tank and put in the 94 octane gas. So what it does is it keeps the octane level and stabilize the gas, and a full tank is better for condensation.
That's right. And then also if you're leaving it in the garage for a longer period of time, they might put on some tires that aren't important to them, because they say that sometimes you get like a flat tire or
flat spot.
Yeah. And so we're not doing that because we're not going to be having it in the garage for that long, but that's something to consider.
What you really should do is, you don't need to do that. You just need to overinflate the tires. So if the tire pressure, I don't know, I haven't checked the tires on Ruby, but actually a colleague of ours in Quebec is a Boxster, and he's put it away for the winter, and he put it at 50 PSI, maybe not that high, but you want to overinflate the tires. Remember to change the tire pressure when you get it out in the spring. That just keeps the tires from having a flat spot.
As well, critters. You know, critters like to build nests. It's going to be nice and toasty and warm in there. So what you might want to do with the tailpipe is put a sock in so that it can't get in through there, or like that steel wool. Just remember to take it out before you start it up.
Well, typically they get into the engine compartment. Sometimes they get in the cabin. You do not want to have any critters in your car. So they don't like peppermint oil. That's rats and mice. And so you're going to be able to see any droppings of rats and mice if there's any evidence. But if you leave the car outside, this is definitely an issue. So you open the hood and you spray a mixture of water and peppermint oil all on the inside of the engine compartment, and you can do that maybe every couple of weeks. And I just bought, Andrea, because I know Ruby's going in the garage. I went on Amazon and I bought these little diffusers you're supposed to put in your air vents. They've got little discs inside that have foam. And I'll take a picture of it and I'll show it to you. I'm putting it here on the video. And you just put the essential oil, the peppermint oil, in there. And I'm going to leave them one by each on top of the tire. So if a critter jumps up there, they're going to smell. They don't like the smell of it at all.
And we do have rat issues in Vancouver for sure. There's
God.
an abundance of them. And as homes come down, because there isn't a lot of land in Vancouver anymore, so you have to take a home down to build another home. And you can tell when a home has come down, because there's just more of them around. Another thing to consider, if you want, we're not doing this, but a car cover. If you want to put a car cover on the vehicle, especially if it's outside.
Do not put plastic on the car. You want to use a cloth. You could just get an old bed sheet and drape it over the car. One other thing that I highly recommend is you get a battery tender, which is not a battery charger. They'll have it at Canadian Tire as well. A battery tender, and you leave that plugged into the cigarette lighter, and then where the cable's going to go out the window, you're going to leave the window open, like just enough for that cable to come in, and that's going to let some air circulate inside the car, and then you're all set.
A trickle charger. Some will disconnect the battery if it's in there for a long period of time. So something to consider.
Battery tenders are fantastic.
In any case, since my wife is very concerned with easy access to the front passenger seat, what specs should I study to select appropriate vehicles? Certainly ground clearance seems critical, but can you suggest other factors? Thanks so much. always enjoy your channel.
I think this all comes down to trial and error, because I don't know what the issues are with your wife getting in and out of the car. Is it the back? Is it knee? Is it hips? Is it all of those things? So you really have to just try it out. How tall your wife is. We have a colleague of ours, Brian Harper, that writes for driving.ca, and his wife is tiny, and she was talking to us at length about cars because she can't see. So she has to, getting in and out is also an issue.
Is a challenge. So a couple things to look for before even looking at the vehicle. Something like a larger door might help, like a Subaru Forester or even the Honda CR-V. At least you can, you've got more room to get in and out. Another thing is a 6-way power passenger seat. If you go with a 4-way, you don't get a height adjustment. I think a power passenger seat is very important, but 6-way is even more important for your wife who may have some mobility issues. Minivans and SUVs are always the better option for mobility issues because you can kind of slide in and out. Cars do sit lower to the ground, so you're right about ground clearance. But yeah, you've got to try them, but make sure you have a power passenger seat and make sure it's 6-way. What do you guys hear on reliability regarding the new Volvos?
Well, Volvo as a brand scores near the bottom of dependability studies. Like JD Power does their 3-year dependability study, and they're down near the bottom. I think a lot of this comes down to electronics. Our experience with Volvo cars, whenever we get a test unit, they can be buggy. So that's something to consider. We just put a little walk around video of the XC90 out that we were in Sweden for. Yeah, fit the foo. And there were comments about this, and people said, I've had 3 or 4 Volvos and I love them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's really hit and miss. I find the same with Volkswagen. You have people who own these vehicles and absolutely love them, and then you have people who say, I'll never buy a Volvo again. It's been just a horrible purchase for me with lots of problems. Depends on who you talk to. Whether it's JD Power or it's Consumer Reports, the scores are pretty close, 23 and 24 on the list.
23rd and 24th on the list.
Yeah, which is not
bottom.
Great. I do like the product. I think that they're making some beautiful vehicles, and I like the powertrains as well. But if reliability is number 1 on your list, I'm not sure that Volvo is the right choice for you.
Volvos are kind of like Subarus in that they appeal to people who like the road less traveled. They want something different than everybody else. So that appeals to people who want a premium car that isn't a BMW or Mercedes or something else. They want a Volvo.
And also the interior quality is just stunning inside Volvos. And I feel like if you're in the premium luxury category, you feel like you're getting a little bit more for your money in that luxury feel. Plus, Volvos are very smooth. They have a comfortable driving dynamic to them, and I get the appeal as well.
That might not be for everybody, though.
It may not be for everybody. I have to say, Sweden, the culture there, and in Denmark is just wonderful.
We should go back.
You start your day, and then you need to have a pastry and coffee, and then you go back to work, and then it's lunchtime, and then you have your lunch.
How do they get anything done?
I just love it.
How are they designing those Volvo cars if they're always having coffee and lunch?
It's just a nice pace of life. Winter is just around the corner. It certainly is. Some days I feel like it is here already. Some people seem to think all-season tires work well in the winter. I think it doesn't work in the winter. Your thoughts?
Okay, this is a problem that the tire industry has, is that they've had they've done a horrible job on messaging. And it all started in the 1970s, where you used to have, radial tires or poly-bias tires. Then they had winter tires. And then they came out with this new category called all-season tires. Well, all-season tires are not all-season. They're really a 3-season tire. And they still market all-season tires, which is a terrible idea. They should move to either a summer tire, a winter tire, or an all-weather tire, which is something totally different. It's kind of like a winter tire slightly detuned, or an all-season tire uprated for winter driving, and it has the mountain snowflake on it. So that's what you want to look for, and you can drive on them for all 4 seasons.
Yeah, and I think it just depends in the area that you live in. I know you live, this is a regular viewer, he lives in Ontario. So it makes sense that you're going to put winter tires on. But, you know, we live in British Columbia. We're in Vancouver specifically, and we don't get a lot of snow.
We get
but
ice, though.
We still put winter tires on all of our vehicles. That's something that we go for. We do have a front-wheel drive model Civic. And Charlie, our son, who drives it, he has, we don't put winter tires on his.
He's got all-weather tires.
He's got all-weather, which works actually quite well for him. I've driven it, that vehicle in the snow with those tires.
Okay, I just want to say one thing. This is another problem with the tire industry, and is that they have on the side of the tire M plus S or M and S. And that confuses people as well, because you have something called, they think it's mud and snow.
Yeah.
Right? And the snow part is a fallacy. So what they really need to do is clean up the marketing around tires and get rid of that M and S, because that really isn't a snow tire or winter rated tire. You need the mountain snowflake symbol, and that's really what you're looking for. So if you're if you live in the Greater Toronto area, you could easily get by with a good set of all-weather tires. And we have the Toyo Celsius 2 on our Civic, and we've been really happy with them.
And also in some parts of Canada and the US, you have to have winter tires on your vehicle to drive on certain highways. So once again, it just depends on where you live.
Okay, so here's the problem. In British Columbia, in order to drive outside of the greater Vancouver area, because we're surrounded by mountains, and you want to go on the highways outside of here, say you want to go to the ski resort Whistler, you want to go to other ski resorts in the interior, you're just driving around. Do you know what? They don't actually make you have the mountain snowflake. You just have to have, back to what I just mentioned, M&S. So they say you need a winter tire to drive on these highways, but they don't stipulate a real winter tire. They stipulate that old M&S, which is an all-season tire, and it's just, they're not doing anybody any favors. This needs to be cleaned up by the tire industry totally. They should get rid of all seasons and go to all weathers.
But in some of those areas, like you mentioned, and that you just need M&S, the problem is that it also says then you need chains. So you might have to put chains on your vehicle.
You'll get where you need to go.
Yeah. I've never used chains before.
They're no
I've
fun.
never had to.
They're no fun, Andrea.
Hello from fans in Vancouver. Oh, it was great to see your review of the Volvo EX30 and love how in your reviews you always show alternatives to consider. Was curious why the Nissan Ariya wasn't mentioned, as Zach liked it in your previous review more than other EVs since it has buttons and lots of features. And Nissan recently reduced the price, including for leases. The Ariya is terrific. We both like the Ariya a lot. It's spacious. In fact, that vehicle could have been branded as an Infinity electric vehicle because the interior is so nice. One of the nicest electric vehicles that I think we can both agree we've been in.
Sometimes we just forget, we just can't remember. We'll sit around afterwards and go, oh yeah, we forgot about that one. And the Ariya kind of is a little bit below the radar.
Yeah.
We were interested in, I'm trying to remember where this was, Andrea, what study it was. But of EV satisfaction, the Ariya was right near the very top.
I think it was Consumer Reports.
Yeah, they listed it right near the very top. It's really well designed, nicely designed on the inside, beautiful materials. So I'm a big fan. And with some of the models, it gets excellent range. So yeah, I'm with you. If you can get a discount on it, then you get the feds to kick in $5K, you're off to the races.
And I think we also picked smaller EVs. I can't remember exactly what we picked, but the Ariya is a little bit bigger. It actually feels like quite a nice, spacious EV, and the height is excellent on it.
I bet you if you calculated the interior volume, it's got more interior volume than Rogue,
Yeah.
because you've got that low center of gravity and the flat floor. But yeah, go drive the Ariya. I think you'll like it.
Hi, love your videos. Thank you. I've been trying to get a question in for quite some time now. What car do you prefer for a teenager, a Mercedes GLA or a BMW X1? A teenager who's driving, because those are really two sweet rides for a young person to have.
I just not a fan of giving teenagers cars with 240 horsepower.
No.
I don't know. I mean, if that's what you want to do, go for it. But maybe you might have maybe it's for a very responsible girl. Typically
What
a
are
little.
you saying? Boys aren't responsible?
No,
Is
they're
that-
not. I was a teenage boy once, Andrea, and if I had a 200 and we'll just round it to 250 horsepower car, I would have beat the snot out of it and gotten into all kinds of trouble.
Hey, I
So,
like it in sport mode. So
Yeah,
when I was a
exactly.
teenager,
You would have gotten in trouble too.
I would have.
Actually, Andrea had a Dodge Colt, which is about
That
as-
was no trouble.
which is about as slow as anyway. Listen, if you want to go that route and you want to get a teenager a premium car, a luxury car with a lot of power, either one is fine. I say pick the one you like because they're both good.
Or are you thinking of sharing it? Or is it specifically for your teenager? I wish I had a tiny bit more information. For me, recently we drove the GLA. I was surprised by how dynamic and engaging it is. So in that case, the one thing that I like about the GLA, especially if it's a teenager, a newer driver, is that there's still lots of buttons for the infotainment to control that touchscreen. Whereas with the X1, a lot of features are now done in the
Yeah,
screen
but if
and
it's a-
could be distracting for a young person.
But a young person's going to like all that tech. Like they're going to go, oh, it's just like my smartphone, and I think it's really cool. I think I'm not a fan of the X1 design. Andrea likes it. I've always thought it was kind of meh, like a lot of the BMWs. I still think the GLA, even though they didn't really change it much, I like it more because I like the interior a lot more. But yeah,
I think your teenager, just knowing our boys, would want the BMW X1.
yeah, Mercedes is kind of like old man car, right? And I think the BMW is a little hipper.
Yes. Hey guys, always great stuff. I've read connected cars from China could be banned due to espionage and or tracking data issues. The Lincoln Nautilus has been mentioned. Any more info on this?
Well, the thing is that you would hope that the manufacturer would have some control over what's going in the car and the chips and the connectivity. So that's the Ford Motor Company will be the ones that design the infotainment system. So what are you saying, that the Chinese Communist Party is putting chips and spying on you? I don't know if that's
Well,
the case.
Biden has come out and is concerned about this. And as far as I understand, he is trying to pass something, but his term is up. And Trump is coming in. So things are going to change in January.
Are they ever?
You know,
Everything. With everything.
I mean, it's all happening.
Whatever
I don't
benefits-
believe the Lincoln Nautilus is going to be a problem, but it's the same with TikTok. I mean, the Americans are worried about TikTok as well, and that they want to ban that. So I just think things are changing quickly in the U.S., and I think in this case, no, I don't think Biden's going to get anything through.
I think Trump is going to do pretty much anything that benefits his pal Elon Musk. The interesting thing is Elon Musk's biggest market is China, and they make a lot of cars in China that they were bringing here to Canada, for example. I don't know how this is going to all roll out. It's going to be very interesting to watch because he's got a thing about China. And he's tariffs. So they already have 100% tariff on Chinese cars. They might say to Ford Motor Company and others like General Motors that make the Buick. Oh, geez, what is it called?
Enclave?
No,
Envision?
the Envision.
Invista.
No, the Invista is
The
made in.
Envision is made in China.
Yeah, that's the one.
Invista is made in
No,
South
I don't know.
Korea.
Okay, I just want the Chinese
Okay,
one.
Envision.
The Envision, and might say to them, listen, guys, you've got to onshore that. Bring the production back to North America.
Here's something interesting about Elon Musk. Some Tesla models that are sold in Canada are made in China.
A lot of them are.
So in some ways, I think, obviously Elon Musk doesn't have a problem with his vehicles being made in China, but he has gone on record to say that he doesn't like the electric vehicle rebates or tax credit, and Trump doesn't like that. So if he is in Trump's ear saying, get rid of them, I think that that's probably going to happen.
Did you see the big fight on not the Mike Tyson fight, the other one on the weekend? Trump was there with his sons, and who's sitting right next to him? Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
So he's going to wield a lot of power in that administration. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does with regulations around the auto industry to maybe benefit him. I don't know, because are they going to say, okay, we're going to ban all these Chinese, but except for Tesla? I don't know. I just can't see that happening.
No. I don't think that's going to happen, but he certainly has Trump's ear. And I think that things are going to change. The thing about Elon Musk is that he really wants more EVs on the market. But I believe, and this is just my personal opinion, that he likes to be number one and hold the market share. And with more electric vehicles coming to market, they're selling many of those. And I know he has a high market share, but he likes to be the king.
The market share is coming down. The winner out of that in second place is the Hyundai Group.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of electric vehicles. But the big one to watch is Trump's take on Mexico, because Mexico has had a lot of investment from China. Companies like BYD, I'm trying to remember if the factory there is on or off, I don't know, but it's probably off now because Trump's come in. But he's going to take, I believe he's going to take the free trade agreement with Canada, US, and Mexico, formerly known as NAFTA. I can never remember what it's called now. The UNYWC, I can't remember what it's called. I think that's going to get renegotiated, and there's going to be, hopefully, a little carve out for Canada, but who knows? It's going to be interesting to watch. I think Mexico, he's going to turn his attention to Mexico and all of the Chinese investment there. It's going to be interesting to watch.
There are a lot of Chinese brand EVs being sold in Mexico right now. The other thing about Elon Musk is he can drop his price just like that. I was at a Volkswagen dealership picking up a press vehicle. I think it was the ID4. Anyway, everybody was going crazy. And I said, what's going on? What's going on? In British Columbia, they had changed SUVs that were starting under $60,000, and they categorized them into the car category. So you have to have your EV to get these EV rebates in British Columbia starting at under $50,000. And do you know what Elon Musk did that day?
The same day.
Same day. He dropped the Model 3 pricing below $50,000, just like that. So he can do it. Now, I know we're running out of time. We just have one more because it carries through to this one, just really fast. Hello from Ottawa.
There's no quick answer,
it is quick, and congratulations on your show. Thank you. The federal incentive for zero-emission vehicles is set to expire on March 31st, 2025. Have you heard anything or have any update about the program being extended? So here's the thing about that. This isn't the first time it's been extended. In 2022, it was the same thing, and then they extended it to 2025. The expiry date is actually April 16th, 2025. Will they renew that?
Oh, hell yes. Of course. Are you kidding me? Trudeau's going to get rid of free money. He loves to shovel money out the back of the truck to the point that we have $1.5 trillion. Anyway, don't get me started on that.
But what if Trump gets rid of it? He's getting rid of it,
well,
I think.
but in the next breath, I was going to say, we're probably going to have a change in government here in a year. And these rebates can't last forever. No. They're gone in Germany. They're getting rid of them in Quebec. They've reduced them greatly here in British Columbia. You're going to see this in jurisdictions around the world, that EV rebates just can't continue forever. And what I've always said is, if electric vehicles are so great, then they should compete for your money. And car companies have been excellent at competing for your money to buy their product. Yeah. Let them compete. Let them go at it on an even playing field. Don't put your thumb on the scale. It's all math that they work out. And I think that it's probably all going to end eventually anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which government's in power.
Yeah, like how long are you going to be doing this for? We see it already in Quebec in Canada, that they are slowly eliminating them. British Columbia has changed their rules, and it's also income-based in British Columbia, so it's very different.
Germany's, they've canceled them.
Okay, quickly, any chance
No,
I
you
could
said
have...
that was
I
the
know,
last one.
no, he just said a 3, 2, 1. This is quick. For a second EV between the Equinox EV and the IONIQ 5, I already own a Bolt EUV 2023 and love it.
Okay, so it's the Equinox and the
EV
IONIQ.
and the IONIQ.
Okay,
3, 2, 1.
Chevy.
Equinox.
And it's only based on price. It's based on price.
Great value and features. And you already have a Bolt and you love it.
There you go.
Do it.
We're all out of time. How do you get a question in, Andrea?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show. Thanks for watching.